cultural and heritage values, social, cultural values and heritage. I believe India and Nepal are amongst the nearest and dearest of neighbors in the world today. Our shared geography forms all that is south of the Himalayas, and our bond is underlined by broad cultural unity and economic complementarities, as we also just heard from the previous speaker. Rivers that flow wholly from Nepal's mountains are a source of life to all our friends and families living on the Indian plains, whilst the clouds that form above the Bay of Bengal are the source of snow and rain in Nepal. India is our largest trading partner, significant contributor in foreign direct investment, and a transit country for our international trade and connectivity. We feel that the people of India have always been on the side of the Nepalese people in our tryst with democracy. India's dedicated support in education, health, infrastructure development, institution building, and industrialization of Nepal further consolidates and deepens this bond. Multifaceted family ties, religious pilgrimages, and cultural festivities have kept us close for generations, while in the recent years, substantive progress has been made in expanding and deepening bilateral economic cooperation through formal channels. There has been good progress in organizing regular meetings of bilateral mechanisms to implement important past agreements and to chart out a longer-term vision that seeks the mutual benefit of both our nations. And I'm so happy that we are going to be starting a forum like this, where many things that cannot be openly discussed or cannot be easily discussed in formal channels can be thought through in closed-door meetings, in situations like the one that we are now trying to create. It is important to note that major cross-border infrastructure projects such as the integrated checkposts, rail linkages, petroleum product pipelines, power transmission lines, roads and motorable bridges have been built via this formalized economic cooperation. Most recently, never before seen progress was made in cross-border electricity trade between the two countries. The starting point of this initiative was the groundbreaking agreement that was reached between Prime Minister Shri Modi ji of India and former Prime Minister Shri Deobaji of Nepal during the latter state visit to India in April of 2022 as Prime Minister. Envisioning the export of power equivalent to 10,000 megawatts from Nepal to India within a framework of 10 years was the key point of this agreement. Amongst the groundbreaking agreements reached at that juncture in the power sector were joint development of power generation projects in Nepal, development of cross-border transmission infrastructure, bi-directional power trade with appropriate access to electricity markets in both countries based on mutual benefits, market demand, and applicable domestic regulations of each country, coordinated operation of national grids, and institutional cooperation in sharing latest operational information, technology, and know-how. This agreement serves as a strong region for hydropower developers from India to view Nepal's energy market as one worth investing in. Moreover, the very recent signing of a historical tripartite power sales agreement has enabled Nepal to sell 40 megawatts of power to Bangladesh via the Indian grid. We highly appreciate the leadership in India creating the environment for this breakthrough. With a view to further advancing economic cooperation, the promotion of trade between the two countries is also a top priority. However, it is a matter of concern that the trade between Nepal and India is very asymmetric. For every rupee of goods and services exported to India, Nepal imports 10 rupees worth of goods and services. Consequently, the widening trade deficit that India alone has reached almost 1/6 of Nepal's gross domestic output. The issues over sustainability of Nepal's trade deficient needs to be seriously addressed. Thus, I hope the deliberations at this forum will discuss innovative ways for collaboration to support the expansion and diversification of Nepal's trade to India to ensure its sustainability and economic cooperation on a more equal footing. And here, of course, we are hoping that there will be import of foreign investment as well as technology, which we can jointly develop and re-export back to India, along with the partnership of the citizens of India itself. Collaboration in sectors of information technology, the gig economy with software development should serve as a boon for the talented youth of Nepal as well as a market for the Indian IT sector. Many infrastructural, regulatory and administrative barriers as well as procedural irritants, otherwise known as red tape, lead to excessive delays, high costs and uncertainties. These impede the opportunity to realize a higher potential. And a lot of discussion around this is also required, both on the side of Nepal and on the side of India, because while I was serving on the Committee of Agriculture, Cooperative and Natural Resources, I realized that there are issues on both the sides, and when we have formal government level meetings, it is very brief and all the issues are not really worked out in depth. And maybe this can be such a forum that we look at each and every of the many products which we share between the two neighbors and how that can be synergized and how we can do better export and import and better trade of technology from both sides. In this context, addressing preferential erosion vis-a-vis other least developed countries, removing non-tariff barriers and facilitating trade at the border, concluding mutual recognition agreements, leadership for policy in new sectors, promoting regional value chains and intra-industry trade, upgrading trade-related infrastructure, including road and railway infrastructure, and India's support in strengthening productive capacity would go a long way in balancing trade and in making our economic integration and cooperation even stronger. Dear delegates and friends, I'm delighted to share with you that Fitch Ratings has awarded Nepal a BB minus rating for its investment climate, positioning Nepal second behind India in South Asia. We have opened almost every sector of the economy to foreign investment. Recently, we have reformed policies and enacted many legislatures to augment the investment climate. Statutory provisions pertaining to land acquisition, company registration, environmental assessment, and infrastructure development have been relaxed and simplified. We are ready to establish bilateral investment agreements with as many prospective countries as possible. And here too, as a foreign minister, I have come across many other third countries who are very interested in investing in Nepal. But I know very truthfully and as a Nepali that we don't have the magnitude of technology, capital, or management skills, and we cannot do it alone. The potential is there. So if people from the Indian private sector, from the academic sector, partner with Nepal, I think we can accomplish much more in this field as well. Nepal offers an attractive incentive package in terms of corporate taxation, import duties, and export facilitation. We guarantee full repatriation of income from investment, and Nepalese legislation prohibits nationalization of private enterprises. This is written in our constitution. Further, Nepal is committed to policy stabilization to encourage FDI and private sector engagement. India is already the largest investor in Nepal, with about 2/5 of the total stock of foreign investment. We encourage the Indian private sector and entrepreneurs to take advantage of the readily available investment opportunities in Nepal. I invite you to invest in Nepal, in hydroelectricity, both in generation and transmission, transport infrastructure such as fast-track roads, railways, cable cars, metro rails, flyovers and international airports, agriculture, food processing, herb processing, tourism, sports, mineral-based and production industries, and information and communication technology. So all these fields in Nepal are relatively still virgin fields. But if we can have a good policy framework and a good discussion around each of this sector, I'm sure our economic growth together could go a long way. I'm confident there is a potential high rate of return on investment in all these sectors. At this juncture, I would like to take a few minutes to focus on tourism in Nepal. We can jointly promote our religious and cultural treasures as tourism destinations, which would contribute substantially to regional prosperity. Nepal and India should effectively promote the joint initiatives like the Ramayana Circuit and the Buddhist Circuit to harness mutual benefit. I'm happy to note that a number of India-based hotel chains have already come to Nepal, and there is encouraging progress in cross-border digital transactions between India and Nepal. We look forward to the effective management of inter-country hotel networks and digital payment systems for the convenience of tourists, business people, students, pilgrims, and travelers of both countries. I would also like to share that Nepal has opened up 2 international airports at Lumbini and Pokhara, 2 of Nepal's most beautiful, unique, and spiritual places. We have constructed these airports at very high cost and seek the support of our closest friend and neighbor to help make them fully operational. Thus, we seek the support of private Indian airline operators to start services to these 2 airports for enhancing not only economic ties, but also deepening people-to-people connections between our 2 countries. And since there is some history with these 2 projects, I sincerely would like to open this floor to please have a discussion on what would be the implications of Indian Airlines flying to these airports and how it would actually deepen our relations and our people-to-people contact. But I think there has to be some clearance at the highest level in India before these 2 airports can be accessed by Indian Airlines. The government of Nepal has offered various incentives to airline companies for such services, and now a number of airlines from the Middle East and from China and from Thailand are coming to at least Lumbini Airport, but there's a number of incentives that the government of Nepal has given. The government of Nepal has also been seeking additional air routes via India, which would highly benefit tourism as well as connectivity. And I think this is also an issue which needs a lot of discussion before coming to a good conclusion. Dear delegates and friends, Nepal has achieved a historic political transformation and institutionalized peace and a democratic system of governance in the country. Now our priority is to secure rapid social economic growth to bring peace and prosperity to our people. Nepal is graduating from its LDC status by 2026 and hopes to become a middle-income country in the near future. Continued support and goodwill from the international community, particularly from our closest neighbors, remain important for meaningful, sustainable, and irreversible graduation. We are working hard to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. However, the vagaries of climate change, which transcend national boundaries, present a most severe threat to achieving SDGs. Only in the most recent monsoon season, Nepal lost infrastructure worth $1.3 billion due to unprecedented floods. Given the shared geography and the shared river systems, Nepal and India must strengthen cooperation on climate change issues and work towards a more sustainable and resilient future. Dear friends and delegates, Nepal is excited by India's rapid economic process and its rise as an extremely important international power. Currently, India is the world's 5th largest economy and is on track to become the 3rd largest economy in the world after US and China by the year 2030. It is irrefutable that the global economy's center of gravity is moving towards Asia, and the center of gravity is located nowhere else than in the neighborhood of Nepal. And the undertaking to integrate the region for regional prosperity as a whole is what we must march towards. Because our region has immense potential, closer cooperation among the countries in South Asia will undoubtedly create a strong regional synergy for a more resilient, prosperous, and sustainable region. There is thus a need to further strengthen regional and sub-regional platforms such as BIMSTEC, BBN, and SARC to forge economic integration and complement bilateral economic engagements, and to have think tank bodies like this. I think is now very, very crucial, and also think it's very timely that we are entering into these dialogues, and I'm so happy that it is now starting with India and Nepal, but maybe the other countries in the region can also join in where and as possible. Finally, I would like to emphasize that with Nepal being a priority under India's neighborhood first policy, strengthening the economic relationship based on shared concern and shared prosperity holds immense significance and potential for both countries. An economically prosperous, politically stable and democratic Nepal is what we endeavor to be, and we are getting closer to this goal if we look at a historic perspective. And with fruitful cooperation with a neighbor such as India, prosperity is very realizable, we feel. For this, we need to develop a framework for a comprehensive economic partnership that links the industrial development of Nepal with the growth structure of India. We also need to work together to develop a common position in international forums based on bilateral concern such as human security, terrorism, human rights, artificial intelligence, the multilateral trading system, and emerging challenges to the globally accepted development paradigm. I hope the deliberations during this conference will be fruitful in generating new insights for further expanding Nepal-India economic interlinkages as well as regional integration. I wish this event a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Rana, for a very comprehensive review of India-Nepal economic issues and relations, and your guidance for this forum and for future research. If you don't mind, because of the long session, we'll just take a 5-minute break and we will resume before I make my presentation. Thank you. Just 5 minutes.